there are many more couples in which the man earns more than the woman. And the way the authors explain this fact is with gender identity norms. So the idea that there are norms that underlying the idea that if the woman earns more than the man, this can create some kind of problems within the couple. Is this really the case? If you just Google wives earnings more than husbands, you would find plenty of articles such this one. So this is from the US Census Bureau, and you can see from the title, "Shh, I make more money than my husband." So it can really be perceived as a kind of a potential problem within a couple. New York Times, same kind of topic. There are also blogs in which somehow authors give instructions on how to deal with situations in which the woman is earning more than the man. And here you can see a comic that somehow, again, summarizes this kind of situation. So when I incurred this kind of article, I said, okay, let's see if I can find some kind of evidence in data that this is really a prevalent fact, something that is really worth studying. So what I did, I downloaded data for the World Value Survey, and essentially in this data, you have each interviewee has to read this sentence. He has to say whether he agrees or she agrees or not with this sentence. If a woman earns more money than her husband, it's almost certain to cause problems. What is the answer? This is the case of US. 37% of people, so a very high share of people really thinks that this can create problems within the couple. Let's move to Sweden, a country that is usually deemed as a reference point when it comes to gender equality. The situation is not that different. What about Switzerland? Switzerland, the sentence is a little bit different, as apparently you don't like very much questions about earning, so it's more when jobs are scarce, men should have more right to a job than women. So this is not directly comparable with the other two bars in this figure, but you can see that still 30% of people thinks that this can be a problem. Is this a kind of answer driven only by men answering this question? This is not the case. If you just look at gender, this is the share in the US of men that say, I agree with this kind of sentence, and this is the share of women. Obviously, there can be different reasons behind this answer, but this is somehow interesting and really speaks to this literature about norms and gender identity norms in particular. So what is this paper about? I think that this paper can be really summarized with this figure. In this figure, you see the left part of this figure is sort of showing the share of couples in which the man is the breadwinner. In the right part, you see the share of couples in which the woman is the breadwinner. And what is the fact? The fact is that you see that it's much more common to observe couples in which the woman is not the breadwinner. So there are many more cases here than in this part of the graph. So in the paper, by using US data and a very clean identification strategy, authors really try to understand a bit more this fact, and they provide us with three very important and very interesting results. First result, so considerations of relative income affect whether people get married. So in a specific marriage market, if a woman is more likely to out-earn men, so is more likely to make more money than men, so you would observe a decline in marriage rates. The second result is that if the wife earns more than the husband, couples report to be less happy, so there is less life satisfaction. They report greater strife, more conflict within the couple, and they are also more likely to divorce. The third result that I want to show is again about couples. If a couple is formed and the wife earns more than the husband, somehow we observe that the gender gap in home production tends to increase. Somehow it seems like the woman tries to compensate for something. And so do more childcare tasks or more other kind of task, maybe in order to avoid this kind of potential conflict. So what are the main takeaways of this paper? So basically, gender identity norms are entrenched in society and affect many realms of our everyday life. So we can think of very important consequences, for example, when it comes to gender gaps in earnings or in female labor force participation. But I don't want to leave you with this kind of bad news about the society we live in. I want to leave you with a good news. So norms and beliefs can be changed over time. And somehow we can also show that we can change norms and beliefs through interventions. And I want to give an example, but I don't want to spend too many words of this work because I don't know why, but I have the feeling that you've already heard about this work.